Now, a lot of people would say that if you look at the original trilogy version of Luke Skywalker in comparison to the sequel trilogy version, you will see a lot of major differences between those two characters, as if they are two different people in the Star Wars Skywalker saga. This is Mike Zero. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing I will say that I am really looking forward to seeing in this movie is exactly how J.J. Abrams is going to utilize the character of Luke Skywalker in this film that will be portrayed by Mark Hamill once more. Now, these past couple of weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art, and storyboard descriptions, etc. However, what's really intriguing has all to do with George Lucas. Now, you guys may have heard about this a couple of weeks ago, that George Lucas was actually involved in numerous sequences in this movie here and there in order to fine-tune some of the legacy characters and their interactions with the sequel trilogy characters. Now, what's really interesting for sure is that George Lucas not only filmed, or should I say directed and guided J.J. Abrams with, of course, Mark Hamill and exactly how the character of Luke Skywalker should be done, but he will also be involved in some of the reshoots and some of the editing techniques that he will be overseeing during, of course, the reshoots in April and, of course, during post-production, which is actually set to end all the way in September to October of this year. So, the fact that he's looking over the editing and exactly how it's going to be done with the Luke Skywalker scenes, choosing different editing techniques, basically giving advice to J.J. Abrams and lending him some knowledge on how it all should be done for the character of Luke Skywalker. Now, additionally, it's said that there are going to be a lot of tweaks made by George Lucas during reshoots and, of course, during post-production in order to really fix the character of Luke in this movie in comparison to how fans viewed him in The Force Awakens and in The Last Jedi. Now, the thing here is this: we do know that one of the big themes for Episode 9 is that it's really going to cater to the legacy characters in order to get the younger audiences in order to really get familiar with the characters of Luke, Leia, Lando, and a whole lot more. So with that being said, the flashback sequences showing us a younger version of Luke Skywalker was actually led by, of course, George Lucas, the man himself who created this big franchise way back in 1977. He offered J.J. Abrams a lot of advice during, they were shooting some of these scenes, and of course he will also be involved in overseeing some of the editing techniques in order to really fix the character of Luke Skywalker in Episode 9 and offer a Luke that we have never seen before on the big screen. A Luke Skywalker based between the sequel trilogy and the original trilogy. Now, the reason behind all of this is because George Lucas actually had an original sequel trilogy idea in mind that was supposed to come out, I believe it was in the mid-2000s, if I'm not mistaken, where we would actually have a whole entire story centered around an older Luke, Han, and Leia. However, not quite as old as they were in Disney's version, while also having children. So they would be like the children of Skywalker, Han, and Leia in those movies. And that's exactly why George is involved with those scenes involving the younger version of Leia, the younger version of Luke Skywalker, you name it. So a lot of the scenes that George Lucas was involved in and will be involved in, even all the more so during post-production, has all to do with the character of Luke Skywalker. And I think that's one great thing that Disney is doing right now, and it's a step in the right direction. I think that it's either a desperate move or a genuine thing that they are doing for the fans. It's really hard to tell. Now, what I would say immediately is it probably is an act of desperation that they got George Lucas on board, because they've seen The Last Jedi backlash, they've seen everything that the hardcore fans actually thought about The Last Jedi, and let's not forget, when we look at ticket sales, when we look at box office results for a Star Wars movie, it really does all come down to the hardcore fans. The hardcore fans see these movies, like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe even 7 times. I mean, I've heard of a guy that went to go see The Force Awakens 8 times. I don't know if any of you guys out there did that, but you can really see, the evidence is there. That's proof that the hardcore fans are indeed the people that go ahead and see these movies multiple times. I myself, I will say, I saw The Force Awakens, I believe it was 4 to 5 times, if I remember correctly, and The Last Jedi I only saw twice. and I think I saw Solo: A Star Wars Story only once. That was it. So, the thing here is this. It's not that Solo was a bad movie, it's that it was affected by The Last Jedi backlash. And the fact that they got George back on board for Episode 9 in order to lend a lot of guidance to J.J. Abrams and to lend a lot of advice and direct numerous scenes for the character of Luke Skywalker in order to really deliver a right version of Luke in between the ages of the sequels and, of course, the originals, in order to give us that true version of Luke Skywalker that George Lucas had in mind many years ago before Disney took over Lucasfilm. So what do you guys make about all of this? Is this an act of desperation by Disney? Is this more around the lines of a genuine act for the fans? What do you make of all of this? And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No hiding from night to moon.